Hey guys, what's up? It is Jimmy. Today I have a new game for you guys, and this is the LEGO M3 grease gun. So this is actually the M3A1 grease gun, to be more specific, and the reason why is because it does not have the crank, and instead has the much improved bolt system. So yeah, I've been meaning to make this gun for a long time, I just have not been able to get it right, and yeah, I'm super happy with the way this thing has ended up turning out. So, we'll start off with the stock. So the stock is a super thin wire style stock. As you can see, it is just shaped nicely here with some arch pieces and the simple upside down technique just to get the shape, so it also holds it together nicely. Sadly, it is incredibly unsturdy. Just touching this a little bit will make it break apart. I used to have a working button mechanism for this, but sadly it ended up breaking when the gun broke. So now it is kind of a manual one. So you just press the button, and then you pull out the stock. Until before, it just locked in. Oh, it did, okay. So it kind of works. Sometimes pretty much the rubber band system broke, so it doesn't really work reliably. But you can see the stock does move out quite far actually, so it is completely usable, even with the LEGO version. So it is just held in by these bracket-built little holding pieces, if you want to call them that. And then we just have a couple of angled plates here for detail. It didn't really end up super good because I don't have a lot of pieces to do stuff like that, so yeah. But at least this looks kind of okay, except that there's a ton of studs there. Anyways, we have the grip, which is not sturdy whatsoever. That's the reason why I'm holding the gun mostly by the lower receiver. It's because the grip is not actually stable enough to hold the weight of the gun, even though the gun is super light because I just made this whole thing hollow, just like the real one. So it is nicely shaped by slopes though. It's not super comfortable because the real one is not super rounded. It was made to be as cheap as possible, so I kind of made it be visible with the LEGO one too. We have the working trigger, which works realistically as it should, which is swiveling rather than the whole way of having it go back into the grip. It instead does like this. So we have the trigger guard here, which is kind of unsturdy as well, but it does do its job of guarding the trigger. Here we have the magwell, which I am very disappointed of. I was actually supposed to use a design like this, but sadly I had no way of attaching those hinges, and I had to do it the normal brick built way, which resulted in a normal 2x4 magazine. So we have the little gap there where the magazine locks into. We have these two, which are to prevent the magazine from going too far in. Then we have our bullet on top there, which is the 45 ACP. So to compensate for the fact that the magwell would be completely flat, I have put some side details on there just to add another dimension, so it's not just super flat and uncomfortable, and it is also very comfortable to hold around the magwell, which is the way you're supposed to hold the gun. So the front part here is a part of the way you take apart the barrel. It is a whole sheet metal spring system, so that when you pull this down, then you can unscrew the barrel and take it off. On this one, it is no exception. You can actually just take it off as well. Just like that, pops off. Not the same way, but it does still work. So in the back we have two screws, which I believe are the ones holding in the spring for the bolt system. And we also have this kind of stamped detail going atop the whole thing, because essentially the upper receiver is just sheet metal wrapped and welded together. So this is supposed to be the weld seam. And here we have the rear sights and the iron sights for the grease gun, which I'm actually pretty happy with the way they turn out. I feel like I maybe should have made the walls a bit thicker, but yeah, I am really happy with the way it did end up turning out. Here we have the dust cover, which is also the functioning safety for this gun. So when you just pull this over, then the gun is on safe. You can't let the bolt slide forwards, and of course you can't even access the bolt. When you tilt this up, then you can access the bolt. You'd be able to pull the trigger and release the bolt, of course then firing the gun. But this does not have a bolt system that is connected to the trigger, much like the way my different username does it. I don't really want to do any way like that, because people will say I copy it. So I do stand by my own old design, which is just having a gap that it can lift up to, and it does work. So you can see the bolt is a big unit. It is actually 4x10 because this is 6 studs wide. So it is a pretty large bolt to be a Lego gun, and you can see it even kind of bounces forwards when let go. So yeah, it does have the finger groove, a pretty large one at that, but it does work. So here we have the barrel, which has the actual barrel piece, just to add kind of an end, makes it look like it is actually hollow all the way through. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Nothing super special about this gun, other than it being a staple in the American side of World War II, and I really do love it a lot. So no tutorial for this one, did not end up making a LDD file, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys. Goodbye.